Second graders, today you are starting a weaving, and what we need to do today is weave or set up our loom. So we're going to be adding the warp on today. This is what your finished weaving loom should look like. Do you notice how there are no lines on the back? They're all on the front. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a loom, and attached to your loom is a little piece of string. You need to wrap your loom. So I'm going to go straight down across from the knot, behind the tooth, just like flossing. Notice how it's going around that tooth, straight up and around the tooth, down and around, up and around, down and around, up and around, down and around. Do you see how all of my warps are going side to side on the back and up and down on the front? When that is done, I'm going to take a little piece of tape, no longer than my finger, and I'm going to tape that tail to the back. This little piece of tape is where my name is going to go, Miss G, and my class code. I am ready to weave. Now at your table is these yarn barns. You may use any colors of the yarn that you would like. When I weave, I measure out an arm span of yarn and I cut it off. Do you notice how I left a little tail on the outside of my yarn barn? That's so that the next person that comes up can just pull on that tail. I should never see the yarn out of the yarn barn. If there's a knot, I untie it and then I shut the door of the barn real quick. Now I need to tie a little knot here, second grade, to start my weaving. So my yarn is going to go underneath that warp, and it's going to make a U. It's going to make an O. Okay. The tail is going to go underneath and through the O, and I'm going to pull it tight. One more time, because I always do a double knot. A U, an O. The tail goes through the middle of the O, and tie a knot. If you need help tying knots, you need to ask 3 before you ask me. You might ask a neighbor. You might look at the board. And then you may raise a quiet hand. I'm ready to weave. My tail is going to be doing an A-B pattern. Under, over, under, over. So, here I go. Under, over, under, over, under, over. Pull it all the way through. Do you notice how my yarn has ended over top? Now I'm going to go underneath. I'm kind of locking those pieces of yarn together. I'm going to go under and pull it, but not really tight where the warp starts to go over and it makes my weaving look like it's on a diet. Keep it loosey-goosey. Alright, I started with an under. That means I go over, under, over, under, over, under, pull it all the way through. I scooch it down, snug like a bug in a rug, and I'm going back the other direction. Just like a race car, I go back and forth, back and forth. Alright, I'm starting over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way through. Now what happens if I weave over, under, all the way through, and my yarn runs out? I'm ready for a new piece. So we'll pretend I ran out of purple. I'm going to go over to a yarn barn. I'm going to measure out an arm of yarn, and I'm going to tie a knot. Now here's a little bit tricky because I need to start my U and my O with an X. I start with an X and do a little twist. This is just like tying your shoe. Now I can do my U and my O. The tail goes through the O and tie a knot. U and O and tie a knot. Please ask 3 before you ask me if you're having trouble with knots. Here's an example of a finished weaving where they have gone under, over, all the way across.